nadšený, ale tak abys můžeš tady Tomáš.
Okay. Jo, jenom pak na ten
tak takhle.
Okay, so I will be somewhere around here. So yeah, first I want to apologize because I haven't known that this speak will be in English, so everything is written in Czech. So sorry. But I think everything I will say. So
it's more our fault than yours.
Okay. So can you will be back, okay?
You can just say back.
So I will be talking about Python testing tools, libraries, modules, or whatever you can call it. Just a few simple ones. I would say everybody knows them, but I don't know if everybody writes tests, so it's good to mention. And the first one which I would like to start is the trivial one, and it's the asset statement. It's somehow something you should know if you code in Python, because it's one of keywords, okay? And it's very trivial, very easy. You just write what you need to test, and it's very handy if you have some small script which you would like to test, and you really want to test everything, and you don't want to write unit tests for this small snippet. So you just write two assets, and you know that it works. And yeah, it's quite handy for this kind of stuff. And sorry.
Your remote is broken.
Yeah.
What?
It freezed.
Okay.
Your code freezed. Come on.
Sorry, I haven't write the test for this presentation.
Okay, this is bad.
Is it possible?
What, your presentation doesn't have tests?
No, sorry.
No, my computer,
Okay, so just to talk, the main advantage, it's easy. You don't need anything else. You just have your statement. And yeah.
Co hodili?
Right. The other stuff I included in my speech is a doc test. It's quite handy because when you write doc things and you write the documentation to your code, when you give an example and you write a doc test, you know that your example is actually working and you are doing two things in one place. So it's also quite handy, but it's just for the basic stuff that you can't write anything more complex. So I haven't included it in my speech, but if we have time, you can just mention it. Alright. So the next thing I would like to talk about is the unit test from the standard library. And yeah, it's great because it's in the standard library, so it's something like free food, because you already have it. And the advantage over the simple asset statement is that you can organize your test code into test cases, which are usually classes, and you can then use them later, extend them into something different, which I would show you in my example. For example, if you know Django, and Django uses several database backends. If you look at the unit test of Django, it has one huge unit test for a lot of stuff you can do with query sets and database. And then it just subclasses this test case, and it sets a different backend because the code should work for all sort of databases. So you just reuse your code, what you have written for one part, you can use it for the other subclasses. I have my computer too.
Jeden z těch dvou snad. to připadne.
It
Tam není. Jo, už, super, dobrý. Akorát asi změním rozlišení na nějaký, jaký? Co takový?
Toho svýho změnu. Nechceš?
To takové. Dobrý. Jestli jsou tady nějací epileptici, prosím vás, zavřít oči. Ale já nevím, proč to asi nezvládá.
It's getting better. That's my name.
Tak tohle asi nezvládáš.
Okay.
Zkus to slipnout, já slipnu.
Jen co tam je, tady Martin Mager. Petr Messner. Anyone? Okay. Just off topic. Sorry. Sorry?
A ta fleška se mi nechce načíst teďka.
Aha.
Máš to na tom svým počítači?
Ano.
Tady se to
Nešahej
totiž...
na to. Nešahej na to.
A toto, jak to mám dát?
F5.
F5? Snad. Jo? Ok, super.
Okay, yeah, so it's simple without the configuration, and it can be part of your code. I'm talking about assert statement now. It can be part of your code, and it will be deleted when you turn on the optimization. And you can write a simple type check with this. This is just a snippet from one library. Yep. Okay. So unit test. As I said, the tests are organized in the classes where you can write a setup method, which is run before every test, and tda method. And this is just the most simple example. And the actual testing is done in the test crash method. Is the self-assert true, which just says that the output of the card is damage property is true. It's zero. If you are lucky, you will see this lovely output. If you are unlucky, you see something like that. It's good to mention that now, because we use assert false, it just told us that true is not false. But unit test has a lot of other testing methods, like assert in for testing lists, and assert equal for testing array, and so on. So you can choose what you are actually testing and use it, and then you see a more descriptive output here. Yeah, as I said, it's a part of a standard library, so it's quite easy. And since version 2.7 and 3.2, it has a test discovery, because before you had to write your test suite by hand, and it was quite difficult. Yeah, as I said, it's okay.
By the way, a lot of those are also only available since 2.7. For example, so in is
Okay.
in the test tool.
Yeah, thank you. And as I said, you can use the subclasses of these test cases. And when you define a generic test case for testing cars, then you can test the other cars, the other classes which should do the same thing. And you can, if you want to, you can provide additional methods like for testing hovercraft and so on. Alright. So just the punchline should be that you can write complex test suites in a unit test and use the assert methods to get quite handy error output when something fails. Alright, the next library is Nodes, and before the Python 2.7 and 3.2, Nodes was very popular because it has test discovery. So it just goes through your files and find all tests and run them. And if you, the basic example is you can use a setup function. This is the same example like I wrote in the unit test. This is just written in nose. And yeah, it's just the only difference is that you use assert statement and you get the output. It's quite easier to write than in unit test, and it has the test discovery. It had it for a long time. And the advantage is it can run test cases from unit tests, so you don't need to write test functions, but you can if you want to. You can run your test cases from unit tests. And also it has several plugins which can provide you another output and more control over running your test, like capture of log messages, test coverage, running your tests in parallel multiprocessing, and selecting tests using specific attributes, and so on, so on. There is a lot of other tests. Alright, so just to summarize, it's not a testing framework, it's more test runner, which makes running the tests easier and provides you another tools for testing and for more descriptive output. The first library is no, it's alright. It's PyVo, and this is very similar to nose test. You are also writing test functions, but the difference is that this is the first example from Project Euler. The difference is that the output of failures is much more descriptive. You have, like in a unit test, you have the output depends on what you are actually testing. If you are testing lists, you will see why the item is not in the list and what the list actually contains, and so on. So this is something between a unit test and the nose. It provides you more granular output and more information. And as I said, it has it's easy to write. It has more informations in failure description, and these tests could be optionally also grouped in test cases, and you can use inheritance later. And just to summarize, this is like an assert statement. It's very simple, but you have the output of failures is much more informative. Okay, so these are 3 libraries. And now, just to compare them, I tried to compare them, but actually there's nothing too much to compare, because when you write the test in unit test, you can run it in a nose. If you write test in PyVo test, you can run it in unit test in nose, and you can actually choose what you want, and you can choose what you want and then use it. So unit tests have test cases. The nose has plugins, which is quite handy, and the PyVo test has a great output when something breaks, and you need to know what causes the failure. So I think the best combination is just use nose for running the test and then write your testing anything what you want, either doc test, unit test, PyVo test. It really doesn't matter, and nose works as a really great test runner. I think there's some more. Yeah, so it's ideal combination. Alright, so these are just the 3 basic libraries, and now something completely different, and it's lattice, which is something different. If you Yeah, you write your test in a plain text, and it looks. It depends how you interpret it. It looks beautiful or ugly, and it's very good to show to your clients who don't know how to program. When you show them, here is how I test your application, and say, wow, that's great. But the downside is that you need to write another parser which defines these steps, and after all, there is the assert statement like anywhere else. So it looks beautiful. It's inspired by the Ruby library Cucumber, and I hope there is shown output. Okay, there is. But yeah, the output is as beautiful as the as the plain text. All right. So this was just the beginning, and now what next? So here we write a test to somehow optimize, checking that our application is working. We don't want to use it. We don't want to check it by hand. We want our computer to work for us. And now we need something which run tests for us. So we don't need to run these tests by hand. And there are several tools. I'm not going to talk about them, just to mention them. There are docs which runs your test in different environments. For example, for Python 2.6, 2.7, 3.2, and it runs it in all these environments in just with one command. And the other is continuous integration, like Jenkins or Travis. And these tools are handy because when you commit your code to your version control, it runs your test automatically and informs you when something breaks, so you can check that your application is working with every commit. And there is a lot of more, and that's for another talk. So, thank you for your patience. Are there any questions?
Yes.
Where's my beer? Okay. Questions?
Do you know about PyTest fixtures?
PyTest features.
The most cool feature of PyTest.
Oh,
and
sorry.
It's the reason why PyTest is so much better than all these other libraries.
Okay. Then I missed it, and I'm sorry for
I
that.
approve of that message.
Okay.
Will you have something with fixtures in your talk?
Because I love
I guess I should do a lightning talk then.
Okay, because I love the output of the failures, and I said, wow, that's a cool feature. I'm not looking for something else. But okay.
Well, basically, if you want to group tests in nodes or unit tests, you have to write a class or a module that has the setup and teardown methods.
Yep.
But then, if you want to add one more method to your class that doesn't use these setup or teardown, you're basically stuck. You can't do that.
Okay.
So in PyTest, these fixtures are explicit. So each method has its set of fixtures that it uses, and the fixtures can depend on other fixtures. So you can have, for example, one fixture that sets up Selenium with browser testing, and one fixture that sets up your database and web app or whatever, and then you have another fixture that brings these two together and give that to your test.
That sounds great.
Yeah,
Thank you
it's
for your
amazing.
introduction.
Typically, it's a dependency injection framework that will inject what you need in your tests.
I have a question.
Yeah.
What does it mean, selecting tests based on attributes?
You can mark your attributes that they are, for example, slow, or they require internet connection or something like that. And then you write just these tags, or you just exclude these tags. It depends. And also, I think Node uses that when you run the test suite, it marks the test which fails, and you can, in the next cycle, you can run only these tests which failed. I think it uses internally the same feature, but you can use it for anything what you want. And that's it. Okay?
Okay, so these are basically unit tests, unit testing frameworks. What if I wanted something enterprise level? Something that supports, for example, distributed testing in Python?
Distributed testing? Actually, I've never heard about it.
PyTest has a plugin for
PyTest and
distributed.
those both have distributed test runners.
Those?
And PyTest.
Okay.
Both.
Yeah,
So
distributed.
can you like script the clients and masters to do things sequentially? You know, specify
A little
their
bit.
directions.
Yes, a little bit, but generally it's pretty naive that it just basically takes the one test suite, distributes the tests over multiple machines within one test suite.
No, I mean really distributed testing when machines talk between themselves.
Yeah, no.
You can.
Yeah, this is just a distributed runner of tests. If
But
you want
that's-
something enterprise level, you're in the wrong language.
Which language? I mean
Python.
Python.
No, sorry, that was just a jab at the enterprise. For that, you really want something on top of it to orchestrate something on the system level. Be it, I would pursue some salt or something to orchestrate the different machines and then run that.
Yeah, but that's just orchestrating. You don't have the output and logging, right?
That you can then plug into. So what, for example, one of the plugins is you can actually output a JUnit compatible XML that you can then transfer somewhere and use existing tools to display that to analyze that. So even if you have tests running on multiple sites, you can then just collect the XMLs and display coherent output and stuff like that. But I'm guessing that you would have to do a lot of it yourself.
Yeah, that's what I'm going to do, basically.
Okay. Yeah, so thank you for your patience and
So thank you. Takže přestávka, break, 10 minutes, 15 or something like that.
Cože jsi a
O čem to máš?
něco na to narysuje na testu frameworku. Možno si to potom jako pripojiť sa, no pôvodný plán bol tam niečo pustiť v konzole, ale možno to pustím ešte.
No, to by bylo jako, jo, to je určitě možný. Jestli, takže teďka máš teď. Jo, tak to já normálně takhle předám.
Jo, to jsem já.
Persistí. Nebo až to, že ten vzděl neobrází. Děkuji, že si tak bude. Super. Jako se když prostě s tom takový problém, že to bylo anglické třeba.
je ten máš, jako
Vlastně na další hlavu.
mě to jako taky mohlo trošku napadnout, protože všichni ty názvy byly napsaný v angličtině, tak jako jsem si mohl, že jsem tam viděl přihlášenou ty.
Nebylo to daný, nebylo to. Ono to je totiž takový ano, zatím a prostě není to nějak přidané. Jo, víceméně do budoucna je to vymyšlený tak, že tolky můžou být volitelně v češtině nebo angličtině a slidy můžou být jako v angličtině, aby si totiž můžeš mluvit česky, když máš slidy v angličtině. No, true.
All of the
Not all of it.
Some
people help out.
Jakože dneska nemáš offline slide.
Jo, offline slide, jestli chceš, ať tě ho ukážu.
ukázat můžeš, protože to tam nebude.
No právě. Tak můj komp spadl a můj komp se jako nějak nevrátil do toho, že by jako mohl použít tohle. Ne,
Bylo zapojený se.
no tak to asi počkej, to je výborný.
We have like thousands of them.
Tady ten
Na zdraví.